Tonight, we delve into the escalating conflict in Israel and Gaza, where military actions intensify and humanitarian crisis deepens. Amid protests and international outcry, we also explore the critical dynamics of the upcoming US elections, where every vote could shift the balance. Join us for an incisive analysis. Welcome to In Focus. In recent hours, Israel has intensified its military actions in Gaza and Lebanon, targeting civil defense and ambulance crews. As the humanitarian crisis deepens, protests arise in Israel over detainee conditions, while Hamas rejects evacuation offers. The situation is escalating amid international calls for de-escalating and urgent aid access. Al-Ahram has reported that the ongoing siege of northern Gaza continues to worsen the humanitarian crisis as essential supplies are blocked and emergency services struggle to reach those in need due to the military obstructions. In a tragic escalation of violence, an Israeli drone strike in Beit Lahia has claimed the lives of 15 Palestinians, including women and children. A child was also reported dead. This attack is part of a broader Israeli military campaign that has resulted in over 42,600 fatalities since October the 7th, with a significant number of victims being non-combatants. Despite Israeli claims of targeting Hamas, local residents report the civilian areas, including hospitals and shelters, are under threat, raising grave concern about the protection of humanitarian rights in this war. Providing more analysis on the current updates about the latest developments about the ongoing war in Gaza, joining us is Dr. Mona Abu Amara, the Palestinian ambassador to Canada from Ottawa. A very good day, and it's a pleasure to have you with us, Your Excellency, Dr. Amara.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Concerning the recent attacks on Palestinian civil defense, can you comment, please, on the recent Israeli targeting of civil defense and ambulance crews in Jabalia and its implication for humanitarian efforts in Gaza?
So this has become the norm for the Israeli genocidal occupation forces since, for the past year, people have been targeted and ambulances have been prevented to get to victims. It is intensifying actually right now because Israel is accelerating its ethnic cleansing plans to empty northern Gaza and then push everyone towards an exit, which its far-right government actually wishes to keep pushing until people leave on both ends and have Gaza emptied all along. The implications, of course, as we all know, we have scarce resources to begin with. Hospitals are barely functional, and they don't have medication. They don't have any supplies that would need to be present for usual, not even assault and wars on defenseless Palestinians. So having such an issue happen right now means that Israel has decided that those who are injured need to die.
Doctor, blockades Israel has prevented medical aid from entering Gaza. How is this affecting the health crisis in Gaza? And what can the international community do to address this genocides and atrocities by Israel that does not want to end?
So the past year of live stream genocide has been a testament to the failure of the international rules-based order. Universal values and principles and equality in front of international law have all been abolished because when there's an exception to those rules, it's not a rule any longer. And the international community has been silent, standing on the sidelines, witnessing all of this devastation and murder and ethnic cleansing, forcible transfer, without being able to do anything about it, or unwilling, if we want to be more accurate, because had they had the will, there's always a way. And for that, we are pushing to go to international organizations, to push every door, and of international organizations like the UN, like ICC, ICJ, to get things moving, to get third world countries to be obligated to start implementing their obligations towards Palestinians in this dire situation.
Okay, Your Excellency, of course, the United Nations has condemned recent Israeli raids in Lebanon. What role do you see the United Nations playing in mediating this crisis again?
So it has been a continuous path for us with the United Nations, be it with the Security Council or with the General Assembly, hoping for resolutions to be implemented and for those responsible.
Until when, sorry to interrupt you, Your Excellency, until when will we and the United Nations and the international community to stop what's happening, the genocides, the atrocities, the all-out war that Israel is taking the entire region into as soon as possible? When is this going to stop from your own perspective?
So we have to think that the whole system would collapse if it wasn't universal, because this assault, this genocide has made it clear to the world that there is differences and that Palestinian lives are not as worthy to the world as Israeli lives are. And we are hoping that by pushing for the ICC and ICJ to do their job in pushing for a rules-based order to be implemented, third world.
But they're never implemented.
Sorry?
They are never implemented. Nothing is implemented. Nothing is done for Israel.
Of course, we are pushing from our embassies, from our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is a continuous, a big network. But what I mean is that at this point today, Ireland started debating how to change its bill with trade with Israel because of the ICJ advisory opinion, which stated that countries should not be aiding Israel in any way to maintain its occupation. That's what
on the ground. On the ground, will countries stop aiding Israel as soon as possible because of what's happening? And what do you read from the change of the map that Netanyahu or Benjamin Netanyahu wants to end this? What he's doing with, and will he reach what he wants?
So what he wants is a never-ending war, because he doesn't want to face the reality and then have to face his own issues. And that's the irony of the world, to allow such a situation to happen for personal interests and a cause for such tremendous atrocities that are implemented on the ground. So we know he doesn't want to end anything on the ground. It's the job of those who aid him, mainly the United States, to realize that. And I know they do, but for the other parts of the world as well, such as in my case, Canada, it's a champion for human rights and for the rules-based order. It would say more about Canada than about Palestine if it stands idle while those things happen. So that's what we are relying on in each of those countries, to push them together collectively to do more than just talk the talk, but also walk the walk when it comes to ending this genocide on the ground.
Okay, that was Dr. Mona Abu Amara, Palestinian ambassador to Canada. Thank you very much for your insights, and thank you very much for your informative knowledge. And we hope the situation in Gaza gets better as soon as possible. So is Lebanon. And with Americans set to cast their votes in the coming days, electoral campaigning has reached fever pitch. Polling remains tight, and the days of the campaign, or the dying days of the campaign, could be decisive if votes are squeezed out of still undecided voters. A recent poll shows that more than a fifth of voters is still undecided, which illustrates how critical the coming days are expected to be.
We will build what I call an opportunity economy.
We will make America great.
We're ready to fight for it. As one people, we are moving forward.
We will make America safe again.
According to the Washington Post, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are running almost evenly across the 7 battleground states, whose votes will likely determine who becomes the next president. In the first half of October, a Washington Post Schar school survey of over 5,000 registered voters revealed that 47% of respondents said they would definitely or probably support Harris, while 47% said they would definitely or probably back Trump. Trump is supported by 48% of probable voters, while Harris is supported by 49%. And for further discussion and analysis of the latest developments in the heated American electoral race, we have via Skype from Washington, Eric Brown, a Republican Party strategist, and from North Carolina, we have for Skype also Dr. Shireen Naggar, member of the Democratic Party. Thank you very much both for joining us on the show, Dr. Naggar and Dr. Mr. Brown.
Yes, how are you?
A wonderful day. And Dr. Naggar, as a member of the Democratic Party, what strategies will the Harris campaign rely on to win the votes in swing states in the remaining days?
In the remaining days, Kamala Harris is trying to show the voters the difference between her and Donald Trump. And the last couple week, Donald Trump slipped many times and have used languages that are not appropriate, have described people with his practices in the Middle East, and commended him for not listening to the administration. We know that he's against raising the minimum wage. We are trying to highlight the differences that he, displayed, and he's also attacking the press and some of the network asking them to revoke their license, threatening to imprison his opponents. Actually, he said that he would like Obama and Liz Cheney, to be subjected to the military tribunal.
Which will add to Kamala Harris's campaign, of course, and make it more, of course, constructive.
Yeah, she's an ordinary, try to appeal to the ordinary citizens as just one of them, is not a decisive person. We heard Trump was bragging about one of the golfers in Italy. So many and approval of the middle class parents and children that are listening. He's using these descriptive language.
How did you read his statement when it came to the natural disaster, of course, the Helene hurricane, and Trump was trying to criticize the Biden administration or the President of the United States, which Kamala Harris is the U.S. Vice President of this administration at this point. How did you read his statement when he was this targeting voters, or out of a human sense? How did you read it at the end of the day?
Well, it's not true. It's been proven it's not true. He's just trying to turn the Americans against their...
Using a natural disaster.
Against the government. And this is very dangerous connotation.
Okay, we move on to Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown? To what extent will the coming days be decisive in winning votes?
Yeah, absolutely decisive. Turnout is the winning formula for any campaign. And the Republican Party and...
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but why do you see it as absolutely decisive?
Yes, decisive, yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I was simply saying the turnout is the name of the game. It's absolutely decisive in terms of who will win. And the energy is on the side of Donald Trump. The voters have had their fill of the Harris-Biden administration and its failures, and it's time to bring Donald Trump back to the presidency.
Okay, sir, in the remaining days, how will Trump and his campaign work to win votes in swing states?
Yeah, there's actually a comprehensive plan in place that's already active. It's called a absentee ballot chase, for example, in the state of Pennsylvania, where voters who have requested mail-in ballots who potentially would otherwise not have participated are being followed up on foot, in person, with phone calls, are being reached out to directly to remind them and to encourage them to vote and participate. It'd be nice if parties did that just to generally improve turnout for all voters. But certainly in this case, in battleground states, you have the campaigns working very diligently to try to bring their votes.
Sir, did you take into consideration that many of the Muslims and Black Latinos are boycotting the elections and do not want to go to either a vote for Trump or Harris?
Well, actually, the polling has moved in the direction consistently, especially among Hispanics in the United States, which is actually a concern for the Democrats, is that Hispanics are moving towards Donald Trump. Black men are moving towards Donald Trump. Younger voters, there's been a shift and a change in their attitudes. But really what it comes down to is that Kamala Harris is not the kind of candidate that is going to receive broad acceptance or is going to be really viable in an election to become president of the United States.
Perfect, sir, but you did not answer my question. My question was the Muslims and the Black Latino voters that are already boycotting the elections and not going to vote with either Trump or Harris. How do you read this, sir? This was my question.
Oh, yes, I understand. Excellent question. I think especially in the state of Michigan, where there's a very large population.
Exactly, which both candidates are actually targeting now, the state of Michigan.
Yes, and wisely so. You know, if they don't participate, those are traditionally votes that may go to Democrats. And if they don't, it could tip the balance in favor of Donald Trump.
Okay. Dr. Nagar, a new poll shows that around 26% of voters are undecided yet. How important are the undecided, and how will the campaign try to attract them?
It is very important, and mentioning Michigan and the Arab American votes and how important it is. Last week, the administration or the candidate delegates have met with a lot and try to make sure that to ensure them that the conflict in the Middle East will be addressed right away and will be top priority, and they understand how tough and how hard this year was for them. And the other side, you can see Trump bragging about the use of force, excessive force from Israel, and encouraging Netanyahu even to do more to eradicate maybe all the Palestinians. So the meetings has been successful. It's very important that she listens, and she mentioned that repeatedly, that she's listening to the Arab Americans. She heard them well. And you can tell that from the letter that went from this administration to Netanyahu, that how the military aid to Israel is tied up to Israel letting the aid, go through to the Palestinians. So is doing as much.
Okay, we move on to Mr. Brown. Who do you think are still undecided between the two candidates at this point as we talk? And how will Trump address the undecided to win their votes?
I think there's a very small number of undecided voters that are out
Why are
there.
you so confident, sir?
Why am I so confident?
Yes.
Because all analysis and all of the polling and research over the course of the last several cycles has demonstrated that that's the case.
Numbers that I read, sir, that I read statistically says that 49% are for Harris and 48% are for Donald Trump. I know very well the race is very tight, and of course, here I'm not judging anything, but and I'm just making clear about the numbers that we hear and we see and we watch. That you, as an administration or the United States, are the ones that issue and we watch.
Yeah, and I think, as you just said, in a situation where you have a 50-50 proposition, there's very little ground.
It's not 50-50. I did not say 50-50, sir.
I know you did not say 50-50. 49, 48,
Yes.
48, 49. You're talking about less than 1% of the voters. And it's a very important segment of the electorate to reach out to. These are potentially ballot splitters, people who generally would vote one way for the president, but may vote differently for a Senate candidate or for a gubernatorial candidate or on a proposition or a measure. Now, in the case of this election, I think that those voters are making up their mind here, and I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I hope that they come out and make their voice heard and vote their conscience.
Okay, so I need sir to know that Elon Musk, of course, has pledged to donate $1 million a day to voters who will sign a petition supporting the UN Constitution. How does Musk's generous support for Trump affect voting trends, and how will Harris respond to that? And do you read this as legal, sir?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the question, the first part of it.
The question is all about Elon Musk, of course, who pledged to donate $1 million a day to voters supporting the U.S. Constitution. Do you read, sir, that Musk's generous support for Trump affects voting trends and is going to affect the voting towards Donald Trump? And how will Harris respond to that? And is this legal, sir?
Yeah, let me take those and answer them in reverse order. First, I would say the legality of it, there's no specific law that makes it illegal, especially in consideration of the fact that no money is being paid directly to someone for their vote. It's akin to money that is expended on behalf of helping turn out the vote efforts in other ways. It is a very unique proposition on his part.
I said it was a generous support, by the way. Sir, before we leave, I need an answer from both our guests. 13 days to the elections. Who will win? I need your answer and Mrs. Nagor's answer, please. Or Dr. Nagor's answer.
Well,
in 10 seconds, please.
It's just very decisive, very crucial the last 2 weeks. And we're working hard. We're reaching voters. We're knocking at doors. We're encouraging them to go vote. And who's going to win? Again, it's a toss of a coin.
Okay, Mr. Eric, please, in 10 seconds.
Yes, I think very much the same is true. Both sides are working hard here on the final runway. But I think the momentum is moving with those voters who are going to choose Donald Trump to be the next president.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you so much for your valuable insights. This was Eric Brown, a Republican Party strategist, and Shirina Nagor, a member of the Democratic Party. Thank you very much, both of you. And as Gaza faces escalating humanitarian crisis, global calls for ceasefire grow louder. Meanwhile, the U.S. election cycle intensifies, with shifting political dynamics potentially influencing both domestic policy and its Middle East strategies. That wraps up today's episode of In Focus. Stay tuned for more deep analysis of the world news here on Q News. Thank you very much for watching.